How about the Cotton Bowl? Tulane, congratulations on a huge win in the Cotton Bowl. I hope that propels you towards success coming up in the next few years. Remember now, when you talk about group of 5 teams, it takes multiple years to get on the radar and then make a playoff push, okay? So we've got another playoff that's a 4-team invitational next year, and then we're going to start moving into this expanded role in 2024, and maybe Tulane is building something very special, like we saw at Boise State, like we saw at UCF, like we saw with Cincinnati, where they can play at the top end of college football. This is one of those landmark wins that you hope, if you're a Tulane fan, propels them into multiple years of success and maybe success at more the top end of college football. So always pay attention to that when you're watching group of 5 teams have success, beat Power 5 teams, in particular in these big matchups late in the season in these marquee New Year's Six Bowls. You know, what does that mean for the future? Is Tulane going to be on the radar next year? Maybe. And it does take those multiple years of cycles, right? It took that with Cincinnati. It took that with UCF, although they never quite cracked that playoff push. But now you're on the radar, Tulane, so it's on you to capitalize on what you can do in the coming years. And I'm excited to watch that happen. On the other side of the ball, what a horrendous collapse from USC. No other way to put it. I mean, what are they, up 15 with just over 4 minutes left? And you've got to win that game. You know, you've got to actively make plays to lose the game, and it felt like they did. Wasted a marvelous performance, again, from Caleb Williams. I mean, this is the scary part for USC. And I really believe in what Lincoln Riley is doing there. You know that, right? I think Lincoln Riley is a heck of a coach. The scary part for USC is that you've got this guy that now we're all starting to realize, in particular after winning the Heisman Trophy, after seeing him play in the back half of the season, what we're realizing is this guy is a generational talent. We might be watching Mahomes 2.0. Even better than Mahomes was in college when he was at Texas Tech. This guy's ability is staggering. You don't or can't waste it. You can't waste it. You got 1 season left with this guy. You cannot waste Caleb Williams. And so USC's got to figure out this defense. Another game in which the USC defense gives up, what was it, over 10 yards a play? Allergic to tackling again, like we saw in the Pac-12 championship game, that has to change, period. So Lincoln Riley is now charged with the fact that, listen, we know your offense is going to be fine. And you know, tell me if you've heard this song and dance before, but this one feels a little bit different. This one feels different because this talent at quarterback feels a little bit different. You cannot waste next year. So they have immediately got to go to the drawing board and they've got to evaluate what they're doing on the defensive side, period. And when you do that, okay, when you're a head coach and you start looking at areas of your team that need to be addressed, it usually happens in a 3-pronged evaluation. You've got to evaluate, is it the players, is it the coaches, or is it the scheme? And it's got to be one of the 3. And if none of the 3 change, then you're inviting the same result, okay? So I think that Lincoln Riley, knowing what he knows about the transfer portal, knowing what he knows about how quickly you can change your fortunes in the transfer portal, that has to be the clear path towards addressing what the defense is or what it wasn't during the course of this season. They've got to tackle better. They've got to at least play a style of defense that would allow them to win games that become shootouts, right? Even in these playoff games that became shootouts, it was stops that end up kind of winning the game. What did TCU do? They got a stop on 4th down inside the 5-yard line. They got a turnover inside the 5-yard line. What did Georgia do on those last few possessions for Ohio State? They got stops, okay? They held them to field goals on 3 of their last 4 possessions. They got to stop and forced them to punt, even though they tried to fake punt and called the timeout. This is what you have to, like, you cannot win games if you're just going to let the other team score. I know that sounds so elementary, but it's true. And you can't waste this opportunity when you've got a generational talent at quarterback. So again, the evaluation for Lincoln Riley, and I'm sure he'll do this because he's a very good coach, has got to be three-pronged. Is it the players, is it the coaches, or is it the scheme? Okay, and one of those three has to change. And I fully expect them to dive in and really try to address the personnel on that defensive side.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.